Story time of how my boyfriend ended up being my stepdad. So I was dating this kid, and me and this kid had like the best relationship. He was 19 and I was 17. And I mean, we were literally always together. And my mom would always call him hot and stuff like that, but you know, I thought that's just what moms do. And I didn't think of it in that type of way. So one day my boyfriend got mad at me. And he was like, I'm gonna F your mom, become your stepdad, and boss you around if you keep up that attitude. And I mean, who would think that he's gonna actually try to do that? And I said, I would like to see you try. But again, we were just in a little argument, so about a month or two goes on, and I find messages from my boyfriend to my mom and vice versa. They were like sexting, and I saw things I did not want to see from my mother. So I went to go confront both of them, and I confronted my mom first, and she wouldn't tell me nothing, she just told me to get out of her face. Oh, but my boyfriend told me they have been hooking up. But he told me I was overreacting because it's just my mom. Oh, just wait till you find out what happens next. I'm running out of time, for part 2.
Story time about the time a nail salon took advantage of my blindness. My sister and I got our nails done. We used to go all the time, and while the lady was doing my nails, she asked me how I knew how much money I had. At the time, I used cash, never again after this, but I told her that I folded my bills a certain way. I told her that I folded my 20s different than my 10s, different than my 5s, different than my 1s. Anything of her asking that question, I think it's a good question, and I just thought she was curious. I got done with my nails, she walked me towards the front, and my sister was actually just finishing up with hers, so it was perfect. There was another man at the front, and he asked me how I knew how much money I had. I told him the same thing. Before I left to go to the nail salon, I made sure exactly how much money I had. My sister helped me count it, helped me make sure that I folded the right bills, just so I knew how much I had, how much I would spend. I gave her the money. Positive that I gave her the right amount because it was just folded, it was folded perfectly, and I counted it out. She takes it, starts talking in a different language, and then tells me that I owe her $20 more. Or I didn't, and I told her the exact amount I gave her, and she's like, no, you didn't give me this amount, you gave me that amount. For part 2.
This is why you always say yes to tandoori chicken. In 2012, a high school tutor and her student stayed up so late one night studying that by the time they were done, the buses had stopped running. Without another way home, the student asked if he could stay the night at her place. Reluctantly, she agreed. When they got back to the apartment, she fell asleep on her bed and he fell asleep on a blanket next to her bed on the ground. A few hours later, she wakes up to the boy standing awkwardly in the middle of the room with a very strange look on his face. She asks him, what's wrong? He looks at her and says, I'm really hungry. Let's go get some tandoori chicken. Confused, she says, it's 2 a.m. Just get a snack in the cupboard. And he grabs her by the arm and he says, no, we are getting tandoori chicken right now. And he yanks her from the bed. Feeling totally caught off guard by this whole situation, she goes into the hall with the boy, and as soon as the door shuts behind them, she can tell that he is terrified. He looks at her and just says, I'm not actually hungry. When I woke up, there was someone under your bed.
Story time of how my boyfriend ended up being my stepdad. So I was dating this kid, and me and this kid had the best relationship. He was 19 and I was 17. And I mean, we were literally always together. And my mom would always call him hot and stuff like that, but you know, I thought that's just what moms do. And I didn't think of it in that type of way. So one day my boyfriend got mad at me. And he was like, I'm gonna F your mom, become your stepdad, and boss you around if you keep up that attitude. And I mean, who would think that he's gonna actually try to do that? And I said, I would like to see you try. But again, we were just in a little argument, so about a month or two goes on, and I find messages from my boyfriend to my mom and vice versa. They were sexting, and I saw things I did not want to see from my mother. So I went to go confront both of them, and I confronted my mom first, and she wouldn't tell me nothing, she just told me to get out of her face. Oh, but my boyfriend told me they have been hooking up. But he told me I was overreacting because it's just my mom. Oh, just wait till you find out what happens next. I'm running out of time, for part 2.
Okay, so story time. So let's start from the beginning. It was Monday, 8 in the morning. I just come from an amazing weekend, literally slept all day. By the way, I was in the 6th grade. Anyways, I was in my first period class and I met this kid. We talked for the whole period, talking about random things like memes and TikTok. Then the end of class came by, and out of nowhere, he started threatening me, saying, oh, if you don't become my girlfriend, I'm going to kill myself. Yeah. When he said that, I looked at him in shock. Thank God for the bell that rang. I got up and went to my next period class. I tried to avoid him as much as possible. I was lucky enough that I didn't have any other classes with him. So I finished that day and I got home and ate dinner, hanged out with my family, and did some homework. Then this is where it got weird. I went to bed and
Story time of how I found out that my mom was putting our dad's ashes in our food. Yep, our mom would put our dead dad's ashes in our dinner. So basically, after my dad died, my mom showed zero emotion. It's like she really didn't care at all. Like she kind of wanted it to happen. His death was like an unsolved case, and nobody knows how he actually died. And now that I get to think about it, it might have been my mom, but I don't want to jump to conclusions. And if it was her and she sees this video, I don't want to end up like him. Anyways, back to the story. So about a month after he died, she would always post a picture of me and my brother's dinner with the caption, "You'll always be with them." Literally every single night. And honestly, nobody really caught on. All the comments were like, we're praying, this and that. Until one day I was just sitting on the couch and I look over and my mom was pouring something into the mashed potatoes. So I go a little closer and I see her pouring the ashes of my dad into our mashed potatoes. Listen, this story only gets 10 times worse, so like for a part 2.
This is why you should think twice about moving in with your friends. My friend Amy and I decided to get an apartment together. We've been friends for a while and she's the type of friend that I can never get sick of and always hang out with. The first issue we had was when she started bringing her boyfriend over from Mexico, which was fine at first. However, he started coming over more frequently. I went to work one day and came back and the apartment felt almost as hot as it was outside, which was over 100 degrees. My dog lives with us, so I always try to keep the apartment cool. I immediately checked on him and went to turn on the AC. But to my shock, Amy had taken the control panel off of the wall and hid it so I couldn't adjust the temperature. I called her furious and explained to her that she could have killed my dog, to which she replied, "I'm not going to leave the AC on all day when we're gone for a stupid dog." This is when things took a turn for the worse.
This is part 2 of how my jealous stepsister cut all of my hair off when I was asleep. So after I woke up out of my sleep, I saw all my hair on my pillow and Jamie with scissors. I've never screamed so loud in my life. I tried to get back at Jamie, but she had scissors in her hand and threatened to cut me if I didn't back up. It was like she wanted to physically harm me. So I took the little karaoke machine and threw it at her, but it fell on her leg and she started crying. I was confused because the karaoke machine wasn't even that heavy. Jamie's dad walked into the room asking what happened, and Jamie said that I threw the karaoke machine at her. And my stepdad yelled at me asking, "Why would you do that?" and then asked me what happened to my hair. I pointed at Jamie and said, "Jamie cut all of my hair off." My stepdad looked at me like I was crazy and picked up Jamie and took her to the bathroom. I was mad because I knew Jamie was faking it. Then I went to my parents' room and told my mom that Jamie cut all of my hair off. If y'all want to know what happened after that, let me know down below in the comments.
Story time. So just when I thought dating couldn't get any worse, surprise, it did. I went on this date. It was like a FaceTime date the other night with this guy, and it was going okay at first. It was a little bit awkward, but it was fine. Pretty soon into the date, he asked me what my type was. And I said, well, I don't really have a type. Like, you know, all my exes are pretty different, which is true. And then I asked him what his type was. He looked me straight in the eyes and said to me, well, normally I go for really strong, motivated, and independent women, but they're all pretty heartless. So I'm trying something different. Excuse me, bitch?
Story time of how I got the best revenge on my worst enemy. So basically there was this girl that literally copied my absolute every move. It all started because the boy that she was dating tried to hit me up. So I guess she was trying to be more like me, I guess. And it all started when I got a puppy. Literally 2 days later, she ended up getting a puppy. The same kind of puppy. Then about a week goes on and I dye my hair blonde. Well, I bleach it. And she dyes her hair blonde. Okay, then the next day, I posted on my story about this app that I was using. It's called Fitness Coach, and I was getting my dream body from it. Also, the link to that app will be in my bio. But then not even an hour later, she posted that she was using it. Then I just noticed every single little thing that I did, she would also start to copy. She even started literally copying my outfits head to toe. So once I noticed that, I decided I was gonna try something out. And I bought a bald cap from the store. And then I posted on a private story with only her in it. Ha, guess what happened 2 days later? I'm running out of time for part 2.
Story time. My toxic best friend outed me to the entire school. So one day, one of my best friends from a neighboring school decided to move to my school, and she was extremely upset because her best friend over there came out as bi. So I ended up using this as an opportunity to come out bi as well. And she was like, well, it's okay for you. I just got really close to her. We'll call the girl Becky because no one likes a Becky. And we can call her friend Heather. So fast forward to after the situation had calmed down, we decided to all go prom dress shopping. So Heather and I were talking and we really hit it off. And I think Becky legitimately forgot about our sexuality because we were all talking about how much we have in common and we brought that up as well. She just looked at us and was like, oh, I forgot about that. And she just shrugged it off. But we continued to hang out for a few weeks. One of these weekends, we all went to church together and the sermon was about how God accepts you no matter what your sexuality is. But of course, Becky turns around to us and says that Heather and I could never date because it would F everything up. Later that day, Heather actually ended up admitting that she had feelings for me, and this is when Becky lost it. Stay tuned for part 2 and follow me on Instagram.
Story time of how my stepmom got so jealous of me and my dad's bond that she plotted to kill me. So I never really liked my stepmom in the first place because she was a little controlling over my dad, and I just knew that she hated me and I really hated her too. But you know, my dad was in love and he seemed happy, so I didn't really say anything. And my dad would always take me to lunch on Saturdays and Sundays, and we'd have like a dad-daughter bonding day, I guess. And me and my dad were just super close. And every single weekend, me going to lunch with him would start an argument between them two because she said I was taking time away from them two. My dad really never chose sides, but I never really got involved in the relationship as much as I hated her because I just loved seeing my dad happy. Also, at this time, I was 15. And what I'm about to say next might sound just a little crazy and unbelievable, but I'm not sure who she was on the phone with. But while on the phone with somebody, she was talking about getting rid of me. Mind you, my mom had passed away when I was younger, and I really had no other family to go to. Now, this is where the story takes a turn for the worse and she tries to get rid of me. I'm running out of time, like, for the crazy part too.